Hey fellas, it's been a long time, right? So let's make this a quick one. Let's talk about some of the changes or about the patch notes that affect our Molten Strike accuracy stacking build. And in the end, I want to show you my league starter for this league because I don't start with Molten Strike or any accuracy stacking build because I'm getting kind of bored through it after playing it for 3 or 4 leagues now. So yeah. But still, I want to inform you about any changes. So let's get going. So, first big change, and this is kind of a huge deal. So, PoE or GGG changed the interactions with Hydrosphere and hits on the Hydrosphere. So now Hydrosphere has an internal cooldown of 1 second after it can be hit again. So this is a huge nerf for Tornado Shot that cleared their whole screens with more chaining projectiles, or just any spell hit damage build that was just chaining projectiles with the Hydrosphere. It's kinda sad that they just didn't do a restriction that is only for spell damage and for bow characters and not for melee hits, because if you just said, okay, melees are still fine, Molten Strike wouldn't be affected at all. So this is a huge nerf, but it's not a tremendous one. And what I mean with this is, in the late game, if you have your damage set up ready, if you have your jewels and stuff like that, then Hydrosphere change won't matter that much. Because in my personal experience, I can tell you, I didn't press my Hydrosphere that much in the late game or at bossing at all anymore. It's just only there for the early game damage to boost up your damage insane to compete or just to progress your Atlas and to kill bosses. But in the late game I just ignored it most of the times because our damage is so stupid. It doesn't even matter if you have Hydrosphere up or not. But for the early game, it's a huge nerf. In the late game, it's whatsoever. So don't be afraid of this change. But yes, it's a rough one. But therefore, we got some small changes or like 2 buffs kind of. One buff is how they changed the mastery for marks, or just they added a new mastery for marks, and this is chance to gain frenzy charge on hit against marked enemies. And thanks to Oscarms, we still have a good way to apply our assassin's mark on hit. And now we have the frenzy charge gains without even having anomalous blood rage against bosses. So for leveling, this is perfect. You can just take this node or this mastery. It's a really good one. And later on, after, or if you just want to spend some exalts, you can get the anomalous blood rage and then de-skill this mastery and spend your skill point somewhere else. But therefore it's a really good node, or until then it's a really good node. So you should definitely skill this node very early on. Another big change, or not a big change, but a slightly more damage increase for our Molten Strike build. So since they changed, or they nerfed Awakened added damage gems, like Awakened added Chaos, Cold, and so on, right? So they nerfed the added flat damage, but buffed the local damage on weapons. And since we didn't use those added gems, we're getting a buff on our weapons. So if you're looking at the local lightning damage, we have an increase from like 30 flat lightning damage, and as in the top end, and for fire damage it's about also 30. So we get 30 flat added damage on the weapons. So this is a very small buff, but it's a buff at least. So if you're getting the tier 1 mod, fire mod, or even now if you only have the tier 2 mod, it's not that bad because the tier 2 mod should be around the old tier 1 mod now. So yeah, this change is very good, or it's like whatsoever again, because it's just a slight damage increase at the end. So there are no big changes for Molten Strike or for our accuracy stacking build in general. So yeah, this build here is just fine. It just works like the last leagues before. If it worked for you, it will still work this league as well. So yeah, have fun with this build. But there is one huge change or new item coming next league or in the Arch Nemesis League. And these are the Ascendancy Jewels. So, as you may already heard of it, ACC or Accuracy Stacking Berserker is a big thing now. Because if I would go to Berserker and say, yeah, let's go with Blitz Charges and just go for the Rite of Ruin to be stun immune or whatsoever, have more rage effect bonuses, you will have, if you really ever have 50 rage, because with this high amount of attack speed, I don't know. And on your full Blitz Charges, this is our damage. So it's even more damage from the normal Juggernaut, yes, but it's a little bit more squishier. But if you go with the undeniable node now, so if you look at this ascendancy spot over here, the damage increase is about nearly 3 million. You can use Berserk to get a bit more tankiness and even more damage in, so you will end up like having 7 million to 10 million DPS per magma ball. And you also have a melee hit damage from like, yeah, look at this, about 5 million melee hit damage. So the damage increase with Molten Strike and Lightning Strike and whatsoever accuracy stacking Berserk build is really insane. The damage is super nutty. Just keep an eye out for this. Those jewels are gonna be real expensive, and yeah, keep an eye out for Berserk ACC stacker or accuracy stacker. If you just don't want to go with this, there's no really big change or just any ascendancy you want to get. Maybe you can get Unrelenting, but you always have to keep in mind that you will sacrifice 2 jewel slots to get one of these nodes that aren't that great. So there is no real big number or big boost you can get from other ascendancies. Only Berserk having some flat DPS increase, but it's not worth giving up 2 jewel slots only to get another ascendancy if you're being a Juggernaut. So I would recommend starting with Juggernaut in general for ACC stacker and then switch to Berserk after you found your undeniable jewels. By the way, other good jewels that will sell a lot, of course, is the Profane Bloom one that will sell a lot this league. I think Mindless Aggression will sell a shit ton or for a lot as well, because for the Golemancers getting +2 levels, and not Mindless Aggression, it's here, Unnatural Strength, the +2 level of all minion skill gems is a pretty huge deal now. So Golemancer, I guess, will be a strong build as well next league, and one of the best things or the best builds you will ever create is Assassin with Swift Killer. So if you ever drop a Swift Killer gem or jewel, you will hit a big jackpot. So Swift Killer Assassin looks totally stupid and super nutty, and Jesus Christ, this is gonna be real insane what you can do with this shit. But yeah, for now, that's everything about the Molten Strike accuracy stacking. So yeah, my league starter for the Arch Nemesis League is gonna be Caustic Error Occultist. So you maybe already know about this build in general. It's a really good league starter in the past leagues after the buffs to Death's Oaths. I can recommend this build as a good league starter. You only need to progress later on with your cluster jewels, and don't forget the items in this one, I will give you the POB, are insane. So just don't say, oh my god, these are so expensive, what the fuck. There are always cheaper ways for those items, like the bow. You can go with a +1 level of Circular Gem Bow, and with chaos damage over time, or damage over time, or whatsoever, and then just multi-mod, craft chaos damage over time, and the +2 level of Circular Support Gems on it, and you have a really good and strong bow for Caustic Arrow. Keep that in mind, please. And Death's Oath, yes, a 5-link Death's Oath will work out perfectly for having enough clear speed on maps, thanks to the Profane Bloom explosions. So, yes, this build can be really expensive in the end stage of the build, but it's a very cheap starter and a very good starter in my opinion. It has anything you need. I just really like Caustic Arrow Death's Oath. It's a really good build. I can highly recommend this, okay? And also we have the changes to the quivers, since they changed the elemental damage with attacks mod on quivers to increase damage with bow skills. So this means your Caustic Arrow will also deal more damage, because now we have another damage multiplier mod. So yeah, I definitely recommend Caustic Arrow Death's Oath as a really cheap and good and safe league starter. We can go and watch a video together, so you will have an impression how this build is gonna look like. This wasn't the right window. So shout out to K2 Gaming. And yeah, so Death's Oath, just look at it. You have your Death's Aura. This is just enough to clear maps in general, just rocking around, dotting everything away with your Death's Aura. And for bosses, let's take a look over here. Just for normal Shaper, you see the dot damage is okay. It's not the fastest map, fastest boss killer, but you will have enough dot damage to be killing Elders, Shapers, the Eldritch Masters, and whatsoever in the late game. Of course, it's a high showcase. It's just with the best items equipped, but keep in mind, dot builds in general are really strong boss killers. Or not, they are not strong boss killers, but they are really safe boss killers, because you have enough time for dodging. It will take some time for your dodge, but you have so many free time to dodge and only apply the dot once, and then walk around, apply the next dot, walk around, apply the next dot, and so on. So for starting this, you should start with Blight, ED, Contagion, just normal leveling, and then later on, after you get the Death's Oath, you should swap to Caustic Arrow Death's Oath for unmapping. But before, you can go with ED, Bane, Contagion, and then just swap after you got the Death's Oaths. Yeah. So, that's my recommendation for this league, and I hope you will have a great league start as always. And yeah, see you around.